So you've joined us back in Gibraltar. We made it across the border and we're staying at our friend's house again. Ian and Sarah, Sarah and Ian. Yeah, thank you very much. You know, thank you very much for putting up with us for a couple of nights. It really means a lot. So because we've done a video on Gibraltar before on the way down here, we're not going to do a comprehensive "this is Gibraltar, it's amazing," because it is, and these are all the places you can visit. What I'm going to do is put a compilation of videos together. It's really dark. I've got a really dark face there. Can you see it?
Yeah, but that's anyway, in the shade.
Yeah, I'm going to put a compilation of videos together of what I did over the 3 years when Wendy and I were based out here, and I hope you like it. So this is looking down Admiralty east-west, from the east side to the west side. If I spin round here, this is Admiralty north-south. This goes all the way down to Williams Way and out by the old Shell refinery. If I go down to this way, it's the unlit section of this tunnel. This is the eastern side of Admiralty east-west, which goes out onto the road, Europa Road, which goes round the rock. So coming back, we're now going to go in this direction here. Excuse the bobbing around. I'm trying to concentrate on the light on and also the camera as well. As we go in here, it's going to get noisy because there's extractors taking away the hot air caused by the servers from Continent 8 up the ducts that we will be walking up the 454 steps and out onto the upper tunnels, as we call them, onto the Great North Road. Let's go. It floods down here in the winter months with about 1 inch of water, and all the sand you can see under my feet is washed down from the upper tunnels through the duct and down here. And actually you can see here a bit of the water remaining from this wet season. It's going to get noisy now. This door is air pressurised by the simple fact of the fans on the other side sucking the hot air out and blowing them up among those winds. And on the roofs you'll see some jet fans. They're there to propel the hot air up so the rock doesn't heat up and cause environmental issues. A lot of money's been spent to make sure the rock stays as cool as possible and propel all the hot air up out of the rock. But it is warm in there and it's quite confined, so let's go and find out. Okay, this is the top of Munzel's Winds now. As you see, it's all been clad out, and the intent is to funnel the hot air over the duct up there, across and out into the atmosphere. Quick look down as far as the torch can see anyway, and then up into Great North Road. Hi mate. And if we get to the top here and we turn left, that goes all the way down to Foss Way, Armaments Depot. It's lovely and cool in here. Then the opposite way is all the way down to Calpe. These are some of the larger tunnels that we have. In fact, the largest tunnels. So that is Munzel's Winds, the junction of Admiralty North-South and the junction of Admiralty East-West, from the lower tunnels up into the high level tunnels. And then it opens up into another large logistics area. This is Peterborough Chambers. So there are there's four chambers, large chambers, and at the bottom they're joined by a tunnel. So it is possible and it's permissible to sleep in two of these, and personnel do sleep in here actually quite regularly when they're deployed. Two of them have been deemed safe to be habitable. And to cook in here, again, it is possible. We're just coming up again an entrance called Peterborough Chambers entrance, and you can cook out of the way down there where there's a breeze that comes through, so any hexamine fumes are driven into the air and vented out. Evidence of another dinner night that happened in here, I suppose many years ago. Well, 97, not so long ago. So there is a possibility, and there's a plan, I use that word quite loosely, to have a skills house placed in two of these chambers. So you'd go in and down one chamber, it would be all boarded off. You'd go in to one chamber will be full of accommodation or movable walls to simulate an urban environment, with a gantry over the top to have directing staff walk into the location so you can be safe and you can oversee the practices that's going on. Covered by CCTV, and in another one of the chambers will be a CCTV control room. So you patrol down here with blank ammunition, you'd change to simulated ammunition, you'd go through the urban clearing house, or colloquially known as the killing house. You do a lessons learned on the exit of the second chamber, so you go down one, across the tunnel at the bottom, and up this one. You'd come outside and you would have a debrief using CCTV and also the DS over the top. Or you could wait until the end of your practice, or the end of the exercise even, for that debrief. So an urban skills house has got movable doors, movable windows. You can make the situations as difficult or as easy as you wish, depending on who's coming through here, from UOTCs all the way through to MAB, and we have both ends of the scale use the tunnels. Okay, moving on. So as mentioned, this is Peterborough Chambers entrance and exit. It's very much like Maida Vale, only about 500 metres towards town, up a little side track. It says there Peterborough Addit. We just call it Peterborough Chambers entrance. In there there's a Second World War. I'll take you in actually. In here there's a Second World War kitchen. I'll just put my panel light on for a bit more light. So as you go in here, this is, as I said before, Second World War kitchen with the cookers still in place and the soup dishes or soup bowls still in place. And then up here is the vent. So we think there's two reasons for this. First of all, maybe to push the coal down, but more probably for a vent, for a chimney. And now there's somebody's house foundation has been built on top of it. Quite cool. We have threatened to take them out and to give them to the museum. However, they are not going to survive the journey. But I'll pass on to the guy who's taken over me about the soup pots, and maybe one of those will make it into the museum. We shall see. Okay, back out again. The old Belfast sink there. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to take you into one of the little side chambers as you come into Peterborough Chambers, just to show you down these tunnels here. They're blocked off. They used to lead up into another part of the tunnel system, but since been blocked off, and I think there's a car park. Well, there's a car park now. It used to be an air raid shelter at the top. Sometimes through the lights at the top, well, through the holes at the top, you can see lights on. I just there's no lights on today. Yeah, but this goes to a quite a big car park. It used to be an air raid shelter, another headquarters during the war. The fascinating part about this is all this sort of where the water runs down. And if you think it's only wet here for 3 months of the year and it's dry for the remainder, how many years has it taken for that build up of whatever it is on the wall? It must have taken 60, 70, 80 years. And then a bit of a no through road sort of tunnel there, just with a bit of rubbish in the bottom. Okay, and back out. So we come to an interesting part of the tunnel system. This is called Magazine Ramp. So as I shine my torch around here, you can see the name Magazine Ramp. There's a gun position, or was a gun position high above us, and the ammunition during the war was moved backwards and forwards on these tunnels to resupply the gun positions outside of the rock. And this has been blocked up. But basically this goes to a ramp, up to what was a lift. The lift has all been blocked up now because it was unsafe. And at the top of the lift, there was a gun position. But we can walk around part of it, and I'm going to hopefully... Daniel's got a much better torch than I have, that's for sure. So, these chambers to the left and right, once thought to be unexcavated, unfinished tunnels, are actually expansion chambers. So if there's an explosion in here, the pressure would expand into these areas and not cause as much damage. Inside there's a natural cave. I'll just give you a quick look into there. What I'll do is I'll just bob my camera down to the bottom. Ooh. Okay, so this is a natural cave that they found when excavating the tunnels. And it goes a lot deeper than that. So it's very much like St Michael's Cave, only, you know, not as popular. And you can see all the sediment. You can see all the cavers have been in their ropes. And there's ropes leading up to the right hand side there into another part of the cave system. Imagine stumbling over this when you were cavers. I suppose it's very much like stumbling over St Michael's Cave, really. Okay. And back and round. And as we go around to the right hand side, into the dark, it's not lit round here. Another expansion chamber to the left. And then round to the right, it actually goes around the back of where we saw the wall to the other side of it randomly. So it's pretty pointless having a wall there. Another expansion chamber there. And as we go around up the ramp, that's the other side of that wall that we saw. This is used pretty much all the time by service personnel, enemy locations, fighting through clearance drills. And up there is blocked off. It's gated, but you can put an enemy position up there, and it's hellish to clear that. You'd pretty much mark and avoid. But if the scenario says that there's a tunnel that leads past that gate, which there isn't anymore, then you'd end up taking out that enemy position. Okay, back down to the tunnels. So we're now going to transition into Calpe. It's like I've explained before, Calpe is still owned by the government, and you'll notice a massive difference in the maintenance from the Great North Road, i.e. the lights work, and there are no lights in Calpe. Calpe is the most regularly used area, due to be transferred from the government. In fact, negotiations are underway to transfer Calpe so we can actually do some maintenance. And the reason why it's not maintained is because there's no physical commercial interest for the government, and that's fine. You would not maintain something that you've got no commercial interest in and just waste money. They have kindly allowed us to use this for decades, and for decades it's not been maintained. So it's got to the point now where if we don't do something, this area will not be safe to train in unless we transfer it and maintain it, which we're in the process of doing. It's taken a lot of time, a lot of staff work, and a lot of patience and understanding to get to the stage we're at now, where negotiations are taking place between our land agents and the government's land agents to initiate the transfer, which is fantastic news. And Calpe is the first to be transferred because it's the most used, and after that there is about 4 or 5 other tunnels that will be transferred for the same reason, so we can maintain them so they're safe to use for future years, rather than decay to a certain extent where they're unsafe and then no one would want to go back in them to carry out the maintenance required. So we're going to carry on from, we call it Gate G, and I'm going to briefly show you into a couple of areas off to the left hand side. Daniel's got his torch on, which basically is brighter than the sun. So this area here has been surveyed, because as part of the preparation for handover I had to give an estimated cost on how much it would cost the MOD to transfer these tunnels. The transfer is actually free. It's the maintenance required after the transfer that we are going to have to take on if we want to ensure that these remain safe for years to come. So you see a little bit of debris on the floor down there. This area here is due to be net and pinned, and this area here is actually one of the areas that we intend for people to sleep in. Again, a lot of debris on the floor, and down there there's quite a lot of debris on the floor. These fans here are the back of extractor fans. I'm going to take you into the generator room, and these fans were designed to take away the hot air caused by the generators, but more about that later. To the left hand side here there's a huge air inlet to supply fresh air for when the generators were working. It's out of bounds to climb out of. In fact, it's unsafe, and at the top there's netting, so you can't actually get out or in, which for us is fantastic because it makes it just that little bit more secure. But all this stuff here will be cleaned away, and all this will be net and pinned, all the roof, so people can sleep in here. Not much debris on the floor. However, if we want people to sleep in here, obviously in the tunnels it's helmets on at all times. Due to the nature of working in the subterranean, you're either going to bump your head or you're going to get loose rock, small rock that's loose, that's going to fall out every now and again. And it usually falls out after the rainy season, so when the rock gets wet and expands, and then it contracts as it dries out, little bits of rock fall out. What I'm trying to do is trying to lobby our land agents to do a test, so where you have a piece of rebar and it's called scaling. You basically pick at the roof where you think it's loose after the rainy season, before it's dried out, and then you get rid of the loose rock that way. And if that was to happen annually, we wouldn't have that kind of an issue, and actually it would help the 5-yearly maintenance plan, because it would be less of a burden if we kept on top of it. Okay. So into Calpe. So there's no lights in Calpe, they don't work, it's complete darkness, NVG heaven down here, you can't cheat. Part of the plan after the initial maintenance is taking place is to put emergency lights in here, controllable emergency lights that you can turn on and off, to put emergency phone systems in, first aid points, fire points, emergency signage, and there's a few other things going to go in here as well, just to bring it up to the standards that you would like to see in a training environment. because at the minute there's nothing, and we own that risk at the minute. But like I say, luckily, not luckily, through dogged determination, we've now got the transfer in process. That's just the back entrance to another fan room. That's actually out of bounds, so we're not going to go in there. So as we go out of Calpe, you can see the entrance in front of you now. This is to Calpe Hall, as we call it. You can see the various states of neglect. It's just by the amount of years that it's been here, rotting away. All these will be taken out and got rid of. We don't want to sterilise it too much. We want it to be realistic, but safe realistic. This is out of bounds because there is an exhaust that runs out and up into atmosphere, up there, and you can see the steels have rotted away to a certain extent that that chimney there, that exhaust as it was, needs to be removed. And this goes into the generator room. You can see an old generator, like a small generator to the right hand side, and some more industrial stuff in front of me now. But you can see the state of the columns in front of me. That's why this needs taken down. It's all been costed, and actually when we did the costing, the surveyors added 20%, and because Gibraltar is super expensive for everything, the finance department in the headquarters added another 20% for what's called Gibraltar risk. So we're going to go into the generator room now, and I'm going to try and get the battery, try and get the try and get the drone up and running. But I'll take a bit of video first, because if it doesn't work, then at least you've got something to refer to. So you have got this old industrial stuff to the left hand side. It's not out of bounds. The risk assessments haven't been done for this area, because it doesn't belong to us. So when units come to use this area, they carry out their own important risk assessments, whereas the MOD tunnels have been risk assessed. So this is a generator room. This was actually opened in the 50s, and it supplied electricity to the local area up until the 70s, when technology was just, technology got sufficient enough that you didn't need all this heavy horsepower. And actually, you know, Gibraltar has grown that much over the last years, especially last 30 years, that they needed more. And this has been repositioned to an area down in the town, just by the dockside, and it supplies electricity much more efficiently than this is. In fact, actually, it's down by the dockside. So the risk in here is underfoot. And you've just seen me tentatively going across some big gaps on the floor. They're actually metal covers that have rotted away over the years, causing a really bad threat underfoot. This area has been surveyed. So all the areas that you're seeing have been surveyed, not by the MOD, because they refuse to do it because it's not MOD land. And actually I understand that. If it's not MOD land, then why spend money on it? So I got it surveyed by a specialist team, Royal Engineers from the UK. They came across and did the survey. So it's all been structurally surveyed. That's why we're in here today, and it's not out of bounds. That survey runs out, the validity runs out at the end of December this year. That's why it's important that we get the transfer underway. There's money in here to spend to do some maintenance. It doesn't need maintaining in here, whereas other areas do need maintaining. We've been around the back of all these walls, and it's just as it was built in the day. There's no rock fall at all. The roof looks new, it's not new, and the tiles on the film probably look new. They are absolutely not new. It's all original. They're just built to last. This is the risk in here. It's underfoot. And when that chimney's taken down, the exhaust, as we saw out in that entrance there, the debris will be brought in here to fill all these holes in. That's the plan. Because there's more holes than that. If you look down there, without falling down the hole myself, if you look down there, there's areas like that that flood, and it's both underfoot and water hazard. So there's various hazards that we need to overcome before this area is back in bounds. Okay, try and navigate that. So as I said before, this is the exhaust. This used to take all the fumes away from these 3 huge generators supplying the local area, Calpe area, that were used from the 50s to the 70s and then decommissioned in the way of new technology. No lights in here, it's all torch light. Like I said, Daniel's got this torch that's louder, that's brighter than the sun, which is fantastic. Up there is the control room with all the switches and dials. It's a photographer's wet dream in here, especially for long exposure stuff. So this area, although it looks massive, and you may think to yourself, why is there not a commercial interest in this area? That there actually was a commercial interest in this area that fell through. So the interest was a server room, and when the people saw it on the video who were interested in it, there was lots of interest in it. Huge open area in the tunnels. But if you were to go outside of Calpe, it's really confined. It's old streets, alleyways, really confined paths to get here. No access at all for large trucks. So the problem with Calpe is getting to it. Once you're here, it's fantastic, but it's actually getting to it that's the issue. Daniel stayed down there because he knows it's a bit dicey up here. But that's the control room there. Imagine how loud it was in here when these engines were running. Walking very slowly across this bridge into the control room. Camera's struggling to focus. And I do not want to fall down here. Into the old control room. So that's what we're up against. That's the issue. That is the issue. Is these covers here, and you can feel it moving. So I'm just going to take my time to get over here and step over, because that has seen better days. Into the control room, or probably one of the control rooms. See the switch gear. Ferguson Palin Limited of Manchester. Some of it looks like it's serviceable, but that's only the parts that are made of metal that doesn't rot. Right, I'm going to negotiate my way down here now. And actually what I'm going to do is go onto the ladder. Yep, okay. Yeah, I can hear that cracking, so I'm going to get my ass down here. Alrighty then. Okay. With a visit from the Land Warfare Centre. That's the centre that looks at subterranean urban warfare. Left hand side is the generator room, which I've already just taken you into. This is actually a substation that belongs to the government. So the government have access to this to maintain the substation. And in here is where we're going to go to next. It says tunnel tour there, but they very rarely come in here. I think it's an old sign. I'm going to put my pan light on, so hopefully we can see. And I'm going to take you into Kelp here. So it's quite a restricted entrance into here. Again, this area has all been surveyed by the civilian surveyors, and that's obviously to ensure that it's safe for service personnel to use. And as I've said previously, this area is going to be transferred back to the MOD, so we can put some maintenance into it and get it usable, or to ensure it is usable for the future, safely usable for the future. This is an old oil storage area, and so that's the bunding from where it used to be. The tanks long since been gone. Okay, then it goes round, and we got various offices to the left hand side in there, and as we walk through, the roof doesn't stay at the same height. It actually gets lower as we go through, with these scaffolding bars holding up the infrastructure. These areas, once we've transferred it, ongoing maintenance, we're going to put some vents in this wall here. It goes through to a chicken coop on the outside. And the idea is to increase the air quality in here. The air quality is not bad, but it could be better. So we've now gone from the oil storage area, and we're now going to go into the hospital area, because there's actually a second World War hospital. And you see there, that's one of the examples of a barricade or a defensive position that's been put in place. So when the soldiers, service personnel come in here to do their exercises, they stage various enemy locations, and the idea is to clear through here. And it's exceptionally loud, exceptionally busy, sweaty, and very confusing at times if you've not been in here before. This is the toilet area, with various remnants of soldiers from the past, and my favourite toilet is that one there, literally a hole in the ground. Entrances and exits long since blocked up that go out to the actually go out to the outside, into the housing estate outside. More toilet area. Sink area, again been taken out years and years ago. You can see the roof falling in. So when the specialist tier roll engineers come over, they also do. They also take out as well as put in. So we're going to ask them to get rid of this roof for us. But it's not ours yet, it's not been transferred. As soon as it's transferred, then we can start working on making this place a better training environment. So this is an actual a ward for the hospital. You can see my breath. It's cooler in here than it is outside, but it's by no means cold. It's still quite warm. The hooks you can see on the ceilings, it was for a false roof to keep the dust down, because it was a ward. They wanted to protect the patients from getting covered in dust. So this is the operating theatre, or what's left of it, into join the two wards. Oopsie, my helmet is caught on the roof. And this is the morgue, temporary storage of bodies eventually. And then into another ward. And then from here we're going to go up into what's called Fordham's accommodation. And there's 86 steps that join Calpe with Fordham's accommodation. And Fordham's accommodation is all the way up there. So we're going to go up there now, have a quick look around. More blocked up entrances and exits leading outside. This needs some work on it. The roof in here needs to be net and pinned. Someone's house. And flies. That's going to get taken down. That wall separates this side of the Fordham's accommodation to the next, and there's no reason to have that wall in, so it'll make it open to training by removing that. This old fan's going to get taken down as part of the ensuring it's safe to carry on. You can see the extent of the infrastructure that's left probably from the wall, actually. Oh, the second old wall. And the old oil tanks are still in. Oil or fuel, I'm not quite sure what. More blocked up entrances and exits. Potentially could take these walls down, because the only reason they're there is to just block up. There's nothing unsafe in there. It's all been surveyed. Most of this is just underfoot. There's a few pits in there that need to be filled in, but nothing much. One job on this, actually, I'll just put it in here. What's left of an old generator room, small generator, backup generator probably, because this was accommodation, so you know, service personnel lived in where we're going to see, but it still stinks of oil in here from all that time ago. It's all seeped into the ground. In the gloom. No lights in here, no power, no electricity. Just literally not used for. That's why it stinks. I reckon there's still some oil in there. Yep. Someone else's problem when I leave. Okay, so this is, at the end here, there is a civilian World War II experience. It's actually closed because, like ours, their tunnels need maintenance, and they've had a few issues with the roof in there, so it's closed. But if you just go all the way up here, which we are going to do, then there's a World War II tunnel experience. These parts of metalwork here, these are the surrounds for Nissen huts. So remember, this is called Fordham's accommodation, and the weird shape of this roof is actually designed for a Nissen hut to fit in, and then a walkway to the left hand side. And the Nissen huts they used to put in here had windows in, and the reason why they had windows in is because they wanted it to feel more like the outside. So they used to put lights on the outside to try and make it like they weren't inside a tunnel, inside an accommodation with inside the rock. Again, you've got this weird shape, and we're going to come up against an old Nissen hut now. You can't go any further than that fence up there, because that's the start of the World War II experience. That's what we'll do. We'll just put the camera through there because there's some mannequins that you can see. That's new. And then we'll bring you back again. So hopefully down here with a super powerful torch we'll be able to shine in there, and you can see the mannequins like they would be in the accommodation inside that old Nissen hut. Part of the World War II tunnel experience. The public are allowed into here when it's open, when the roof's been repaired. But we're going to go back down here to the unmaintained bit. Another example of talking about having a Nissen hut within the tunnels with windows in them. It's a good example on the left hand side, with the strange way it's been built into the rock. It doesn't leave much clearance for any maintenance, and that's the issue they had on the other side, because there's no space at all, and it's just rotting away because it's really damp in here. And actually there's a risk of asbestos, so it's out of bounds to everyone. It's just left to decay. Another interesting point, these are rock bores where they drill into the rock and they take the test bores away to find out how stable the rock is. And these date back to, again, the Second World War, where various parts of the rock were drilled into, parts of the bores were taken away, and they were analysed to make sure that the rock was stable enough to have accommodation in here, and they've been in here ever since. I know that because the surveyors told me that when they came through. Otherwise I wasn't quite sure what they were. So this is the other side of Fordham's accommodation, and this is vast. And we're not going to walk up there, but it goes all the way up there, almost running directly in line with the tunnel tour, the civilian tunnel tour. So I'm not getting a lot of reflection off this light. That's better. So all the way up there, as far as the tunnel tours, and then you get this weird accommodation bit where the metalwork goes down, and it goes all the way down there, and actually not just down there, down the tunnel to the right hand side. It's huge in here. There's another 2 or 3 chambers like this down that tunnel to the right hand side, and you know, even miles away from anywhere, you've still got all this infrastructure running inside the tunnels. It's absolutely everywhere. So if we're to switch our torches off, you can get an idea of how dark it is in here. So torch off. That's it. Absolutely, and I'm moving my camera around now. There's absolutely no light, zero light at all in here. If you had no torches, you would be in the shit. Okay, that's Daniel with his torch on. I'm going to put my panel light on. And I've also got a head torch, and I've also got an emergency torch as well, just in case. But yeah, total darkness. Right, let's start making our way back, shall we? Nearly. Okay. So that's Fordham's accommodation. Like I said before, built for the Second World War to provide accommodation for those service personnel based here. Half the reason why, well, they reckon half the reason why the Hitler didn't invade, or the Germans didn't invade during the war, was not only because Franco was neutral at the time, allegedly, but also because they had no idea how many soldiers, how many service personnel were actually based here. All they saw was people coming in and out of tunnels all the time, and it was quite deceiving. If it was a couple of hundred or tens of thousands, they had no idea.